by 2027. What is this telling us? It's telling us that the market as it stands is small. Ladies and gentlemen, this has created a problem of monopolization. What do I mean? Ladies and gentlemen, to show that I'm a speaker who speaks from within and not without. With me is another article from Efficiency News. With me is another article from Efficiency News. Here, the SEC CEO states, as I quote, to the journalist, that the Lusaka market capitalization grew by 15%. However, he cautioned that the market remains concentrated in ShopRite PLCs, which accounts to 60% of Zambia's equity market. Ladies and gentlemen, he further went on to say, excluding ShopRite, the market capitalization to GDP ratio drops to 19%. What is this telling us? It is telling us that in the current market, there is only one out of 21, one that is benefiting the most. This is monopolization. Members of the House,
20 seconds only.
Okay. Members of the House, what we are saying is when we list more companies, it prevents monopolization because there are multiple players and increases diversity, which reduces saturation, which increases investor trust, leading to more investments, which ultimately leads to economic growth. With this view, but when
The time is up.
I rest my case.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. The member of government. Let's now give an opportunity to the member of the opposition.
Honorable Chairperson, esteemed judges, ladies and gentlemen, or may I simply say, all diplomatic etiquettes are highly observed. As the third speaker for the opposition, my role is to defend the team's case by rebutting the arguments and reinforcing the key points. As I forge ahead, active training encourages more companies to list. Before listing on the Lusaka Securities Exchange, companies ask whether there are enough investors willing to buy their shares. A busy market gives business confidence and they will successfully raise capital. Just as a shop owner prefers to open a shop in a business marketplace rather than an empty one, companies are more likely to list in an active stock market. Finally, our policy strengthens the existing market before expanding it. The proposition wants to add more listed companies, but adding more companies to an active market does not solve the problem. Zambia should first improve the performance of the current market. Once investors are actively trading, more companies will naturally choose to list. Honorable judges, and the proposition focuses on increasing quantity. The opposition focuses on increasing effectiveness, and active stock market attracts more investors, supports business, and creates the right environment for future listings. For this reason, we respectfully urge the House to reject the motion. I beg to oppose. Here's my case.
Also, a very brief and direct submission, ladies and gentlemen. The opposition member, a round of applause for her. Without further ado, let's please welcome the whip of the government.
Nowadays, people know the price of everything, but know the value of nothing. These were the words that were spoken by Oscar Wilde. Members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals, allow me to offer my humble benedictions to the highly esteemed in this House of Debate by simply saying, may all diplomatic etiquette be highly and highly observed. Under fundamental scrutiny, we have a motion that states, as I quote, this House believes that Zambia should focus on increasing the number of listed companies rather than increasing the trading activities, to which we as the government of the day are simply and clearly saying yes. Now, members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals, as the Chief Whip, I have the distinct duty of ensuring that all invalidities that were brought by the opposition should be put to bed. So members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals, I'm going to do this in a very simple way, and I'm only going to focus on two main invalidities that were brought before this August House. With the first one being that the opposition's entire fundamental argument does not understand the simple principle of demand and supply. Now, members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals, I may be a medical doctor by profession, but allow me to take you through economics 101. Members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals, when we're talking about a demand-sided problem, we need a market supply solution. But the opposition consistently keep talking about us finding demand-sided solutions, which will not fix our markets, members of the House. Members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals, one of my speakers, one of my fellow honorables, who happens to be my second speaker, mentioned something that was very profound, and it was written by Movantu. They wrote a business article on December 3rd, 2025, which stated, as I quote, ".com Zambia IPO, a new dawn for local wealth creation and the future of Zambian entrepreneurship." This article went on to state the following: the public offer raised over 12 million kwacha, attracted more than 530 shareholders, 95% of them being Zambian, and it was 114% oversubscribed, reflecting the strong domestic investor appetite for technology exposure. May the Good Samaritan please do likewise, clearly showing us that the demand is there. People do want to invest in our country, Zambia, members of the House, including us as citizens, but the clear problem is the demand, is the supply, members of the House. They don't have enough companies that are listed on our stock exchange market for them to invest in, members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals. The other misconception that I would love to put to bed, members of the House, is that the opposition keep on trying to point at the Lusaka Stock Exchange low liquidity and saying we should fix this first. No, members of the House, the clear problem here is simple. The low liquidity is a symptom, members of the House. It is not the disease. Unfortunately, the honorable who is interjecting me has forgotten the rules of debate. But let me continue. Now, members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals, as I was rudely interrupted, I was trying to say that this low liquidity is a symptom. And the main disease that we're talking about here is the lack of companies on the stock exchange for people to actually invest in to increase the liquidity, members of the House. This is very, very simple, members of the House. And as a government, we have a simple mandate. And we were able to highlight our mandate through our 8th National Development Plan, members of the House. The 8th National Development Plan on page 34 states in this sentence, creation of industrialization and diversified economy is a key to development and outcome of the 8th National Development Plan. Now, how are we supposed to achieve this, members of the House? Well, as the government, we are data-driven, so we work together with the Securities Exchange Commission as well as the Ministry of Finance to come up with the Capital Markets Master Plan of 2022. In its conclusion, it stated the following: the development of the capital markets is one of Zambia's key pillars as it strives to reach the goals set out in its 2030 Vision Policy and the 8th National Development Plan. May the Good Samaritan please do likewise. Now, members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals, clearly showing you that we as the government do have a plan for this nation. The plan is simple. Work with the data. The data is showing us that as a country we have so many people that are willing to invest. The next thing that we have to do as a government is to ensure that we show the businesses, the SMEs, the benefits that are attached with joining the stock exchange market. And LUSE, the Lusaka Stock Exchange, has come up with what we're calling the alternative market. And they released an article that's titled Grow Your Business with the Alternative Market, which lists a number of benefits. Benefit number 1, access to long-term capital. Benefit number 2, increased visibility and credibility. Benefit number 3, enhanced corporate governance, which builds trust with stakeholders and reduces the risk of mismanagement and encourages strategic planning and accountability. May the Good Samaritan please do likewise. Now, members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals, in conclusion, I would love to say I began by talking about, can I please have 20 seconds to summarize?
20 seconds only.
Thank you very much. I began by talking about how the opposition are mistaking the low liquidity as the disease and not the symptom, when it is the symptom. Members of the House and indeed bona fide intellectuals, imagine a Zambia where most of Luce is owned by our own enterprises, where our own Luce is owned by our mining services, our commercial agriculture, and
The time is up,
renewable energy.
honorable member.
With these few points, I raise my case.
Thank you so much, honorable member. The government is done. And now to conclude the debate, not just this one, but for the day, ladies and gentlemen, the whip of the opposition.
I am here to interpret, not to manipulate, to educate, so concentrate. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Honorable Speaker, simply increasing the number of listed companies will not strengthen Zambia's capital market if those companies' shares are rarely bought or sold. A stock exchange succeeds because of liquidity. Active trading enables investors to buy and sell efficiently, discover fair prices, and have confidence that they can access their money when it's needed. Without strong trading activity, new companies may hesitate to list because they gain little benefit from joining an inactivity market. Members of the House, improving marketing participation through investors' education, digital trading platform, institutional investments, and better market liquidity should come before aggressively pursuing new listings. Therefore, Zambia should not first strengthen trading activity. A vibrant liquidity market naturally attracts businesses to list voluntary. Liquidity is the heartbeat of every successive stock exchange, and without it, increasing the number of listed companies alone will not deliver meaningful economic transformation. Honorable Speaker, with me here, I have some strong evidence which highlights on Lusaka has introduced the alternative market which was established to make it easier for SMEs and growing companies to list by reducing listing requirements and costs. May the Good Samaritan please. Lusaka continues to attract new listing companies such as .com Zambia company listed, which in 2025, and Clapton Rain Insurance Company, which was listed in 2026, demonstrate that Zambia is gradually expanding its number of listed companies. Good Samaritan. Active trading improves liquidity. The Lusaka publishes daily statistics on the number of trading volumes and market values, showing the liquidity is a key indicator of marketing performance. Samaritan, please. Members of the House, in the nutshell, a market is measured not by how many companies are listed, but how by confidently investors can buy and sell. Liquidity is the foundation of every successive capital market. I rest my case.
Thank you so much. This was the very last quarter-final of the day, and that was the whip of the opposition. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll now allow both teams to shake hands as they leave the stage. Congratulations to both teams for reaching this far. At this point, we will now wait for the judges to deliberate, and then we'll find out which institutions have made it to the semi-finals and which institutions end here. Thank you so much. The results are ready, so let's settle down. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? I'll just give a moment to the media team to click a button. Okay, so the time that we've been waiting for has come. The quarterfinals are done. Let's find out who makes it to the semi-finals. As we've been doing it, we will begin with the two best speakers from each debate, and then we proceed to the results. So in the first quarterfinal between Cavendish University and the University of Lusaka, the second best speaker, and please let's encourage the speaker, yes? So you stand up so that everyone can applaud you. So the second best speaker, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Musonda. And the best speaker is Takudzwa. Okay. In the debate between Levi Mwanawasa Medical University and the Lusaka Business and Technical College, the following are the best speakers. The second best speaker, Nicholas Chilufya. And the best speaker, ladies and gentlemen, Danzi Darrow. Okay, it seems he's outside. In the debate between the National Institute of Public Administration, NIPA, and Evelyn Horn College, the second best speaker, the second best speaker, ladies and gentlemen, Niza Sinkala. And the best speaker is none other than Paul Mwape. Okay, let's be together. In the debate between the University of Zambia and Rockview University, the second best speaker, Emmanuel Mwanza. And the best speaker, Brian Sikazwe. And now the results. My favorite part. You see how silent all of you went. In the debate between the University of Zambia and Rockview University, one institution scored 682. The other institution scored 713. The first institution to qualify to the semi-finals. Make some noise for the University of Zambia. In the debate between the National Institute of Public Administration and Evelyn Horn College, the battle of the neighbors. One institution scored 648 and the other institution scored 698. The second institution to make it to the semi-finals, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the National Institute of Public Administration. Before I announce the next results, I would like us to at least give a round of applause to Evelyn Horn College. They've been good provincial representatives. They've made it to a final, they've been quarterfinalists, and they've been semi-finalists. Unfortunately for this year, they will not represent the province. Ladies and gentlemen, in the debate between Levi Mwanawasa Medical University and the Lusaka Business and Technical College, one institution scored 648, the other institution scored 449. The third institution to make it to the semi-finals, ladies and gentlemen, Levi Mwanawasa Medical University. In the debate between Cavendish University and the University of Lusaka, the battle of the private institutions. One institution scored 667. The other institution scored 742. Ladies and gentlemen, the final institution to make it to the semi-finals of this year's provincials for Lusaka province. Please make some noise for Cavendish University. May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention? Thank you so much. So in this debate, or should I say the semi-finals, will be as follows. Cavendish University will face the National Institute of Public Administration. Levi Mwanawasa Medical University will face the University of Zambia. So we will do the coin toss before we leave to aid in your preparation. We will also receive information on how many people we can come with tomorrow. Please remember that the semi-finals will be held at the Securities and Exchange Commission offices right opposite East Park. And unfortunately for the institutions that haven't made it to the semi-finals, you cannot come through tomorrow. But we do invite you to follow the proceedings online, both on the Capital Markets Association of Zambia Facebook page, on the Securities and Exchange Commission SEC Zambia Facebook page, as well as the Securities and Exchange Commission YouTube page. For today, we end here. Congratulations to the teams that have made it. To those that haven't, we'll see you next time or next year, same time. Thank you so much.